everybody, my name is Katie and today's video is going to be on the manga that I would recommend for you if you were just starting out reading. So these are not going to be like the beginner's guide, because if that were the case then there would be a lot more manga in this video. I'm only picking 4. And so these are going to be manga that are pretty popular. You can find outside sourced in material, so like they have fandoms and stuff, and they also have anime. I didn't pick any super popular ones, so none of the like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, none of those. All of these manga are really easy to get into and really easy to read. 2 of them are ongoing, 2 of them are completed. I believe all of them came out in the 2010s, or at least had been completed in the 2010s. So they're relatively new, and none of them are older than like 2000, probably 13 or 14. I picked these specifically off of my shelves, so while I don't own very many, I did want to make sure that I had something to like pick up and show you. I do read quite a bit more that are online, but those are a little bit harder to get your hands on, so I wanted to make sure that these were easy to find. I picked 2 shonen, which are for the age ranges of, I believe, 12 to 25 for boys usually, but they are the more popular genre in manga pretty much all over the world. And then I picked 2 shoujo, which are the romance ones, but these ones are more slice of life than actual shoujo romance, because I do not read shoujo romance, I read shoujo slice of life. So I'm going to start off with the shonen and then I'll end with the shoujo. So my first shonen is the one that is completed, and it is the oldest manga in this stack, and it is Soul Eater by Atsushi Ohkubo. There are 25 volumes in total of Soul Eater, and so it's kind of a mid-ranged manga. It's one of the longer mid-ranged, but it's not like 30 plus. It is only 25, so this one is one that you could read in the span of probably a couple of months if you really got into it. The art is really easy to follow, the characters are really easy to understand, and there are some like deeper themes in this manga later on, but it is a pretty easy one to get into. So the story is about this girl predominantly, but there are other characters as well, and this boy, and they are a soul reaper and a scythe. So the idea is, in this world there are the weapon wielders, I don't remember exactly what they're called, and you have the weapons themselves, and the weapons are being trained to possibly become death size for the Shinigami who goes and is like, you know, the Shinigami death himself. And they go to a specific school to teach them how to do this and defeat the Akuma eggs, which are like demon eggs, which are evil humans that slowly turn into these like demon beasts. And so you kill them, the weapon eats their soul, and the weapon gets more and more powerful. So the idea is they eat 100 of those and then 1 witch, and they become a death sai. So that's like the beginning plot, and then it turns into being something a lot more intense and a lot more strenuous later on in the series. I can't exactly tell you everything that's really this plot is truly about, because it would be spoilery, because it doesn't start happening until probably volume 3, but there is a build up to it, so no worries with that one. It's not just sprung on you, it is built up into it. All of the characters are pretty likable. There are a couple that can be kind of annoying, but generally speaking, from what I've seen other people say as well, all the characters are pretty well likable. So it's basically just them trying to defeat demons and slowly become death size. As I said, all of these have anime as well, so you can find the Soul Eater anime, I believe, on Netflix. And I'm not entirely sure if it's on Hulu or Crunchyroll, but I do know it is on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you be sure to check it out. The ending for the anime is very different from the manga, so if you didn't like the ending for the anime, don't worry, it's not the same. The one that is is uncompleted, it is currently ongoing, is very popular. It was super popular when it first came out, though I do feel like its popularity is kind of waning at the moment, but it is One Punch Man by One and Yusuke Murata. So this one is about this guy who is named Saitama, and he becomes a superhero. Um, and all he has to do is hit you once and you die, basically. That's his whole concept. This is actually kind of a deeper story in the sense of, is other people's recognition worth the work when you know that what you are capable of, is kind of the story I feel like behind this manga. Saitama's kind of dumb, he's not super assuming, most people think he's kind of useless, and because of the way that he is, a lot of people don't believe him when he says that he has done all of these feats. This is a really, really funny manga. The majority of it is funny. It's not super serious until later on in the story. The first three are pretty unassuming, in the sense of that, in that kind of sense. It is a comedy, but they have some of the best fights of any manga I've read, and they're not fights that last 300 chapters like in Naruto sometimes, or One Piece, or Dragon Ball Z. The fights are pretty quick, and they're very, very, very well drawn. Some of the best detail I've seen in a manga is in One Punch Man. It is beautifully done. And so the artist is Yusuke Murata, and he is a beautiful manga artist. Some of the best work I've ever seen is in this manga. I would show you some, but I'm afraid that it'll be spoilery for like some of the characters. I guess I could do this one. You can see that it's very detailed and very pretty to look at. So yeah, pretty much immediately engaging and immediately funny. I believe the only place you can watch the anime for One Punch Man is Hulu. I have not seen it on Crunchyroll or on Netflix. So if you have a Hulu, you should be able to see it there. I believe there are 24 volumes of One Punch Man currently out. I'm not entirely sure how many there are in total for English, but I do know that there are 24 currently in existence. There might only be around 15 or 16 that are in English, though. I'm not entirely sure. So the next two are going to be the shoujo slice of life manga. Again, both of these have anime. You can watch both of them on Crunchyroll for free, on Hulu for free, and I believe you can watch one of them on Netflix. Just gonna get that out there right now. I'm going to start with the one that is completed, and it is My Love Story, or Oromonogatari, depending on where you're trying to find it. Sometimes they have My Love Story, and sometimes they only have Oromonogatari, by Kazune Kawahara, who did the story, and Aruko, who does the art. And this is a very, very cute, fluffy manga about this big guy here. His name is Takeo, his best friend Suna, and his girlfriend Yamato. So unlike a lot of shoujo, this is not a long game like him trying to get the girl. He actually gets the girl, I think, in the first 2 or 3 chapters. And unlike a lot of other anime and manga, it's also not where the really attractive best friend tries to steal the girlfriend because he's jealous of his friend. That doesn't happen, which is very, very nice. This is a story that is slice of life, so it's basically, it is shoujo in the sense that there's romance and it's a very important part of the plot. However, it's really just them being dating and being friends and going on adventures. There's a few instances where there's some pretty serious topics like illness and pregnancy and things like that, but regarding the actual like content of the story, it is a pretty light manga. Some of the major themes in this one are going to be love and friendship, as well as family. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, I would definitely recommend it. The art is very pretty, though I will say the first volume is not as nice looking as the later volumes, but it is easy to get into because you're immediately drawn in by Takeo's personality and Suna and Yamato and how cute she is, which is kind of not her only personality trait, but that is kind of her, like, the reason that it's odd that these two are dating is because of how cute and sweet and kind she is when he is kind of a lumbering gorilla oaf. Again, this one has an anime. This one is the one that I believe is on Hulu and on Crunchyroll, so you should be able to find it on Crunchyroll for free, or if you have a Hulu, you can just watch it on Hulu. This one was extremely popular when it first came out, though it is kind of dying in popularity as well just because it's finished. However, you should be able to find plenty of online content for it. This one has 12 volumes, and that makes it a pretty short manga, so it'll be easy to get through. You could probably read it in less than a month. The incompleted one is going to be Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun or Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun, again, depending on where you're trying to find it. This is also by Izumi Tsubaki. I almost forgot to say her name. And this one is about this kid here. His name is Nozaki. This girl, Sakura. And then they're friends, but on this cover you only have Mikorin. And their shenanigans in high school. So it turns out that this guy is actually a very popular shoujo mangaka. And he's not secretive about it, but nobody ever believes him when he tells people this. So when Sakura goes up, and this is how they're introduced, Sakura goes up and tries to confess her feelings, and in doing so, she ends up with his autograph because he misunderstands what she's trying to say. And then she tries to do it again, and she just kind of turns into his assistant, and I believe her job is filling in the black spaces in his manga. And it is also about them becoming friends with a bunch of other high schoolers and just their life together. So he takes real life situations and turns them into his manga. Usual shoujo manga, there are specific tropes for each gender. So you have the very straightforward, very school-minded female character that's usually going to be the student body president or in charge of some club, and instead it's actually a guy. And then you have the really intense character who's like the competitive basketball or football or baseball player that everybody kind of finds annoying, but they love him anyway. And that one in this is a female, as well as the prince of the school being a girl and the shy flirt being a guy. So a lot of them are flipped, which makes it a lot more funny and a lot easier to get into, in my opinion, because it subverts expectations. So this one is definitely slice of life. Unlike all of the others, there is no overarching plot to this one. It is literally just them hanging out in high school. So this one is that makes this one a lot easier to read and a lot easier to put down and come back to and put down and come back to. You don't have to like reread anything to remember what's going on. You can pick it up at any time and just continue reading. It makes it a lot easier that way. The art is very fine, is very fun. It's very straightforward, kind of like that. However, the faces and the expressions are usually really funny and really sweet and really cute. And it is set up in this kind of panels, which is different from most manga. Most manga doesn't have panels like this. Most manga has like the action panels that go around in different areas. So it's a little bit easier to read in that sense too. You don't have to try to follow each panel. You can just read down. Currently, I believe there are 11 or 12 manga out in English, but there are 13 in total, and you can read the 13th one online if you want to. I don't believe that this has any plans of finishing anytime soon, so if you want to start it now and catch up to it and then read it weekly, you can. You can watch this one on Netflix and I believe Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll for free. So those are all of my recommendations for beginning manga art readers. They aren't necessarily my beginner's guide, like I said before, because that would just be too many manga. However, I do think that these 4 are very good starting manga. They're not super intense, they're not difficult to get into, they're not difficult to read, and they're not all really long. Longest one is 25 volumes, and that's about average. So you're not having to read 30, 40, 50 plus. There are a few others that I could mention as well, and I may do an entirely different video on that. But if you want more recommendations, let me know. I do read plenty, though I don't own very many. So I will have plenty to show you and talk about. So I may even do a favorites list, though I have already talked about a couple of my favorites in this list. Anyway, that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed and have a good evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on when you're watching this. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.